everyone! Today we are wrapping up our mini-series on winter holidays. And I want to share books with you all about KWANZAA. Since this is celebrated the last week of December, I thought now is the perfect time to share these books with you so that you can share them with your students or even your own kids. And if you missed our previous two videos, last week I talked about Christmas books that you can read aloud, and the week before were books all about Hanukkah. And I'll leave links to both of those videos in the description box down below so you can check them out as well. But today I want to talk about books all about KWANZAA. KWANZAA begins on December 26th each year. And part of KWANZAA is celebrating African American history, and it includes 7 principles. And you'll learn about each one of those principles in the different books that I'm going to share with you today. So, if you want to get started with those books, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button down below, and we'll get started. The first two books that I have for you about KWANZAA are very simple, very basic overviews of the holiday, and that's a great place to start if students don't know much about it. The first book is called My First KWANZAA. And in this one, it goes through the 7 principles of KWANZAA and describes each one and how the family exemplifies that one in their community. The book really celebrates the importance of family, friends, and community, and what a wonderful, happy celebration this is. It has bright colors, but again, since it's called My First KWANZAA, it is definitely targeted towards younger students, where I think older students will get something out of it. It is definitely geared towards younger kids rather than older ones. But if you're looking for another simple book that goes over the basic principles of KWANZAA, check out this one, also called My First KWANZAA Book. And I'll leave links to both of these down below so that you can make sure that you grab the correct one. But this one, with its wonderful illustrations, kind of just gives a brief overview of the holiday. This one doesn't, through the story, it doesn't really go through the 7 principles, but there's quite a bit of back matter at the end of the story that talks about what those 7 principles are and the meaning behind each one. So this is another great book to get started with when you are first learning about KWANZAA. This next book is more of a fun story for students to follow along with, and this one is called Little Rabbit's KWANZAA. In this story, Little Rabbit loves KWANZAA, but he feels like he can't help out with all the celebrations. He's just too young to do anything, too young to help out, and he's a little sad about that. He's also feeling a little sad because his grandmother usually makes the big feast, which is his favorite part of the celebration, but she's sick and can't make it, and his mom's so busy taking care of his grandmother, she can't make it either. And he's feeling a little disappointed, but then he realizes that he should get something special for his grandmother, a special treat for her. So he goes out looking for something special to get for her, and along the way he meets all of his different animal friends. He explains what he's doing and talking about different aspects of KWANZAA to each of them, and they all kind of think, well, I don't know what that is, I don't know what KWANZAA is, but I do know Grandma Rabbit and I want to help her out. And every animal that he goes to thinks the same thing. I don't know much about KWANZAA, but I want to help out Grandma Rabbit. And at the end of the story, Little Rabbit comes home and his whole community, all of the animals, all of their friends, have put together a feast for their family to celebrate this holiday. So even though they didn't know anything about it, they came together, they helped out the rabbit family when they needed it. And it's a wonderful book talking about how the holiday of KWANZAA is about coming together to help others. This next book also doesn't really explain KWANZAA or talk too much about the holiday. It's called A KWANZAA Miracle, but it is a wonderful, heartwarming story. So in this story, these 2 young kids, Ashley and her brother Daryl, live in an apartment building, and they have a neighbor. Her name is Mrs. Jackson, and she just seems grumpy and mean all the time, so they try to stay away from her. And as their community is coming together to plan for the KWANZAA festivities, the 2 kids are outside playing, and by accident, they hit Mrs. Jackson's window with a snowball, and she tells them to come into her apartment right away. And the kids think they're going to get in trouble and that she's going to yell at them, but instead she gives them something special. She gives them some treats, and she explains that she once had a young daughter, but she died, and that she's very lonely. She doesn't have any other family except her sister who lives far away. So as the community is coming up with their Kwanzaa activities or Kwanzaa celebration, they decide that they want to honor someone in the community, and the kids decide that Mrs. Jackson is someone that should be honored at their celebration. So they get her sister to come in and visit her, who she hasn't seen in a really long time. And it's a wonderful story, again, about community coming together to help each other out on this special holiday. Now, the next two books I have will dive deeper into the 7 principles of Kwanzaa and explaining what each of those are and how they can be exemplified. This first one is called Together for Kwanzaa. In this story, Kayla is desperately missing her brother Kari, who is away at college. And she thinks that Kwanzaa just isn't going to be the same this year unless he's there. And it's taking him forever to come home for different reasons. His car breaks down, he can't leave on time. So she's really sad as she's missing him. But she talks about the different days of Kwanzaa as they celebrate and each one of the 7 principles and how she is exemplifying that, how her family is showing those principles in their everyday actions. And then finally, at the end of the story, her brother eventually makes it home for the end of their Kwanzaa celebration. And this last book is called 7 Candles for Kwanzaa, and it tells the story of a family getting ready for Kwanzaa. It explains the history of the holiday and the meaning behind it, and it talks about each of the 7 principles and how the family is celebrating each day and how they are showing those principles in not only their holiday celebrations, but throughout the year as well. This one gives a lot of great information on the holiday that I think students will find truly interesting as they learn all about Kwanzaa. So that was my collection of books all about Kwanzaa. And as I mentioned before, if you have any other books about the holiday, feel free to leave them in the comments down below so we can add to our list. But I hope that you enjoyed this mini series about read aloud books that you can use to celebrate different winter holidays, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa. There are so many wonderful books to be read aloud for each of these holidays. And coming up in the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing my favorite read alouds of 2022, as well as some picture books that I'm really looking forward to coming out in the year 2023. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I hope you have a great week.